Namaste. At certain times, we all find we need more energy for ourselves and for those around us. An overflow of energy is required to sustainably support others. So the intention of this practice is to optimize our own levels of energy, to ensure that our internal energy pathways are clear and that our main point of energetic connection, the heart center, is open for that connection. To move forward towards this, we will work with functional yin asanas to stimulate our energy, draw that energy through our meridians and the heart center by alternating asanas between the upper and lower body. We'll work from the extremities of our physical body inwards, gradually drawing that energy into the heart center, creating a deep energetic well and the openness to share. This practice is a little different to some of our others. There are no rebounds between postures so that we can really build the energy. And there is more silence to contemplate the creation of movement of that energy. We hope that you enjoy this slightly different practice. We're going to start this practice with some breathing just to bring ourselves in towards our center. We're dealing with some subtle energetic movements in this practice, so it's important to be well centered. So just bring yourself to a comfortable seated position. Legs can be crossed or you can be kneeling, however you're comfortable. Straightening the back. Bringing the eyes to a close if you're comfortable to do so. And just allowing the body to fall into a natural breathing pattern. Inhaling and exhaling. Sensing the movement of air over the tip of the nose as we inhale and exhale. Bringing our awareness to where we feel that movement, and perhaps allowing our awareness and with it our energy to move from the tip of the nose up into the nostrils, back of the throat, filling the chest, around the heart center, and as we exhale, coming all the way back out through the tip of the nose. Just inhaling and exhaling. Just a couple more breaths here. Getting ready to move to our first posture. So the first physical target area we're going to work with are the toes and the ankles. We're going to do that by coming onto all fours. Our first target area is going to be the toes and the ankles. So as I said, we're starting at the extremities and moving all the way in towards the heart center. So we'll start down here. Just tuck the toes, sit back. Got the toes tucked underneath. You're going to feel a bit of stress there. If that's too much, we can stay with our hands in front like this, taking most of the weight through the arms. But if we're comfortable, just stay there. Just finding that edge, so that first point of physical resistance. Quite often we're quite stiff down in the toes and the ankles. Just find that edge, relaxing the muscles down in the feet. As we relax, we might find that the posture opens up a little bit there. That might allow us to come back off the hands, taking a bit more weight over the heels and into the toes. Or if you're comfortable, stay with your hands here. Wherever we are now, just finding that stillness, feeling the connective tissue stretch, stress, base of the feet, around the ankles, maybe up the calves a little bit. As we feel that stress, if we move through the physical sensations, perhaps we're going to start becoming aware, even in this first posture, there's a certain amount of energy creation going on. As we stress that connective tissue, effectively what we're doing is we're creating energy. So just allowing that to happen and just enjoying being aware of the sensations. Coming forward now, we're just going to untuck our toes, feet straight back, and just going to transfer some of that stress from the toes now to the ankles. So moving gradually in, toes, ankles. Again, if it's too much, we can come forward a little bit. Otherwise, just sitting back. Relaxing the muscles in the front of the tops of the feet. Maybe feeling the posture open a little bit. Just finding that stillness, exploring the connective tissue stress. Again, perhaps just being able to pick up those more subtle sensations, energetic sensation. So being aware, yes, of the physical sensation, but again, just trying to tune in to something a little bit more subtle. This is one of the reasons, particularly in this practice, we don't want to be right at the physical edge, because we need to have that sensory or perceptive edge to feel the more subtle energetics. If that's dominated by physical sensations, then that's going to be more challenging. So we can stay as we are, or we can just come to a seated position. So we're now going to go from one extremity to the other. We're going to go to the fingers and the wrists. So just starting, just extending the fingers, clenching the fists. And again, just starting to feel that in the hands. Becoming aware that there is a muscular sensation. But again, with all of these postures, just trying to move through the physical, trying to detect something a little bit more subtle. Now we're going to work on the wrists. We're going to put one hand forward and one hand back. In this way we can carry some weight on this hand. So you might want to come up onto all fours. And here we're just going to be stressing this right wrist. Now if you're comfortable, you could do with both wrists, but I'd suggest starting by carrying the weight through the left hand and just applying the amount of stress that you're comfortable with through the right wrist. So again, just finding that edge, pausing. We can either, if we want a little bit more stress, we can sit down at the back rather than be on all fours. Just feeling that connective tissue stress all the way through the back of the fingers and the hand. Again, not too much, because we want to be trying to bring our awareness and attention to that area, to the wrist and the fingers. Just seeking out that more subtle, energetic sensation. And now releasing, just swapping to the other side. Now if you did start with using both hands, then you can have both hands forward and maybe lean forward a bit, just a bit more stress, but otherwise we just swap to the other way with the right hand down on the mat, allowing us to moderate the amount of stress we put through the left wrist. Finding that edge, pausing and relaxing the muscles, allowing the stress to pass to the connective tissue. As that happens, perhaps we can sit back, take a little bit more stress there. But again, let's aim for no more than 60-70% full range of motion, which gives us that sort of clear headspace to really come into these parts, these target areas, and move through the physical in search of the energetic. So just sensing the connective tissue stress around the left wrist, maybe starting to come up the forearm. But again, moving through and just seeking out the more subtle, energetic sensation, the creation of energy. And just releasing that. Now again here, for our next posture, we could stay kneeling, or you could be cross-legged on the mat. We're going to be working on the neck. So we talk about creating energy using these postures, and in other practices we've talked about the chemical and electrical signals that the body sends. And that's exactly what's happening here. The stress on the connective tissue is creating energy, electricity for another word, but energy. And it's that energy that we're seeking to perceive and gently draw into the heart center throughout this practice. So sitting up straight. First, we're just going to allow the head to fall forward. So we're not pulling the head down, we're just allowing the head to fall forward. Natural force of gravity. Feeling some stress on the back of the neck, Inhaling and exhaling, perhaps using the breath to relax. As we exhale, we feel the neck muscles relax. Maybe the posture just open up a little bit more. Stretching that connective tissue in the back of the neck. Next inhale. We're going to come up. And again, we're just going to do the same, but we're going to allow the head to fall back. Not too far. Any dizziness, just come back up. But otherwise, just keeping the eyes open, if that helps. Just bringing the chin up, allowing the head to fall back. Just feeling the stress in the connective tissue here at the front of the throat, front of the neck. Relaxing the muscles. Again, trying to move through the physical. Inhaling, coming back to the center. Before we move our head to the left-hand side, so just allowing the head to fall towards the left shoulder, not lifting the left shoulder. And we're going to feel the stress here in the right-hand side of the neck. Perhaps as we exhale, the muscles relax. Stress passes to the connective tissue. And when the stress is in the connective tissue, that's when the magic starts to happen with the energy creation. Turning those senses inwards, sensitizing them to try and pick up the subtle sensations that exist underneath the physical. Inhaling, and on the next exhale, allowing the head to drop to the other side, to the right-hand side. Stress on the left-hand side of the neck. Finding that edge, relaxing. Feeling the stress move to the connective tissues first. And then as the connective tissues stress, starting to become more aware as we progress through the practice, more aware of that energy being created by the connective tissue stress. Inhaling. Just a couple of breaths here. Getting ready for our next posture. So we're moving back down to the lower half of the body. And on our next posture, we're going to be targeting the back of the legs. Now you might find it useful to have a block or a bolster here, because some people find it helpful to just have that supporting the edge of the feet here. Because we've worked with the toes and the ankles, we now want to come up the back of the legs, but we would like to have an emphasis on the lower half and around the calves. So you could do this against a wall if you want, or against blocks, but we don't really want to pull in. So Getting comfortable, straightening the back, and we're just going to fold forward. Starting to find that edge. Starting to feel the stress up the back of the legs. And again, whether you're at the wall or using a block, perhaps we're finding that that stress is more focused at the bottom of the legs around the calves. So relaxing the muscles as we do, perhaps using the breath to help us relax the muscles in the backs of the legs. Inhaling, and on the exhale, as the breath leaves the body, so the stress leaves the muscles and passes to the connective tissue, fascia around the muscle, tendons, ligaments, joint capsules. Exactly where we want it to work with this energetic creation. So as those muscles relax, you might just allow the body to fall forward as far as you're comfortable, again relying on gravity. If you wanted to, you could support your head with a block. Or you could even bring in a bolster and just put that across here. The important thing is the sensation we're getting in the calves. So just finding your stillness now. Exploring the connective tissue stress up the back of the legs, particularly in the calves. But you may feel it from the calves right up the back of the legs towards the glutes. But maintain our focus for the moment around the calves. And drawing as we work through towards the subtle expressions. Perhaps drawing some of that energy up from the toes and the ankles into the calves. As we move through the practice, with each asana, we're going to create and move up the energy. So from here, we move it from the toes to the ankles. Now we're in the calves. Stillness in the posture, being a soft stillness, allows us to go a little bit deeper as the body opens up if we want to. But equally, we can just stay exactly where we are. So again, feeling the connective tissue stress, creating more energy for us, but also opening up the energetic pathways or meridians as we move up through the body. We're about halfway through now, and given the subtle nature of the
practice. I'll leave you now in silence until we're close to the end of the posture. Just gently coming out of that posture, maybe moving the blocks to one side. May need those for the next couple of postures. So we're going to move back up to the upper body, and the target area is going to be the shoulders, back of the arms, and we're going to do that with a posture that's sometimes called closed wing. We can do this in one of two ways. I'll demonstrate both and then you can decide which you like. We've got about 4 minutes on each side, so we can either do it with both arms together like this with the line on the front, or one arm. So if we're doing it one arm at a time, we come to the mat, we take the right arm through, for example, extending the right arm out and then just bringing the body over the right arm. If we're doing both arms together, then what we might do is we might bring the left arm closest to the body, the right arm on top, so we're folding like this, and come down, taking both hands out to the side, and just starting to find some stillness here. So whichever option you've gone for, just starting to find the physical edge relaxing the muscles. Just using the breath to do so. And maybe as the posture opens up, you want to adjust a little bit. Might just be getting comfortable. It might be going a little bit deeper. If we've got both arms, we can use our tucked toes to push us forward, taking more weight over the front of the shoulders, which will just increase the intensity a little. Allowing the head to fall or even supported on a block. And then just finding some stillness. Exploring that connective tissue. Stress across the back of the shoulders and down the outside of either both arms or just the one arm if you've done that option. Again, as we explore the physical sensations of the connective tissue stress, we want to just acknowledge those, move through, and really start searching out the more subtle energetic sensation, the energy creation. Starting to feel that energy being created. Backs of the hands, outside of the arms, across the shoulders, drawing down perhaps on some of the energy that we created in the neck. Feeling the creation come in waves as we breathe. Just getting ready to come to the other side now. So if you did the single arm version, you'd be just taking that left arm through and then just rolling the weight onto the left arm. If you want to, you can support the head. Target area being this shoulder. And if you did the two arm version, you just reverse the position of the arm, so the right arm closest towards the body. Both hands coming through, extending the hands. And then whichever option you've taken, just finding that edge, pausing, relaxing the muscles, so our target areas across the shoulders, outside of the arms. So just relaxing all of those areas. Using the breath, if that's helpful. Exhaling the stress from the muscles to the connective tissue. Stress now in the connective tissue, just where we want it for creating the energy. Maybe the posture opens up a little bit. We can adjust. And then we just find that stillness. Exploring the connective tissue stress up the outside of the arms, across the shoulders, across the back. And again, when we're comfortable, just tuning in and moving through the physical, starting to sense the energetic creation that's happening in these target areas. Again, drawing down from the energy we created at the neck. Drawing that energy down and creating more as we move gradually towards the heart center. Just gently releasing. Getting ready for our next posture. So again, moving down to the lower body. Target area is the front of the legs or the hips. You may have noticed that we're not, as we normally do, we're not taking rebounds in between the postures. And that's a very conscious decision so that we can continue building this energy slowly and gently and moving it through the body with an extended Shavasana at the end. So with our front of legs, hips, we're going to take the right leg back, leave the left leg extended, maybe just getting comfortable here for a moment. So already we should be feeling some stress in this front area, the quad, front of the leg and the hips. So maybe just a couple of breaths here as we find that edge. You might want to bolster and find that edge, just relaxing the muscle in the front of the right leg. Again, maybe using the breath, releasing the breath, releasing the stress. And as the posture opens up, you may find that you're comfortable coming back. This is where you might want to bolster to support yourself. Or you may just wish to go down to the mat. Whichever expression is good for you today. Just finding that stillness. Exploring the connective tissue stress up the front of the right leg, the front of the hip. As we explore that connective tissue stress, I'll just move through that, start working with the energetic sensations that are arising. If we're not really getting that at the moment, we can adjust this left leg, bring that up and let it fall out to the side. Just making note of the effect it has on the target area. Maybe even taking the arms above the head. All the while, just keeping the attention on the subtle sensations in the front of the right leg. Drawing up from the toes, the ankles, the back of the leg, the calves. Drawing some of that energy up. Just gently releasing. Coming to the other side. We're going to take the left leg behind us. Bend the left leg behind. Keep the right leg extended for now. Maybe starting here, just a few breaths here. Using the breath, that connection between the breath and the energy in our body. It's using the breath to relax the muscles in the front of the left leg and the front of the left hip. As they relax, maybe that allows us to adjust a little bit more. We can bring that bolster in behind the back again, or we can just come back down to the mat. We can find some stillness, exploring that connective tissue stress in the front of the left leg and hip. And allowing the physical sensations to mute into the background as we tune in more to the energetic sensations, creation of energy in this area. The drawing up of energy from the bottom of the left leg, from the toes, ankles, calves, back of the leg. Drawing that up, building on it. Allowing that stress of the fascia in this area to create those electrical signals, opening up the energetic pathways. Making the arm and right leg positions suit your practice today. So taking the arms overhead if you want. Bringing that right leg up and letting it fall out to the side. Or just staying as you are. Immediately bringing our attention back to connective tissue, front left leg and hip. Feeling the energy waves coming up from the tip of the toe. Now just gently releasing that left leg, straightening it out. Coming back up, ready for our next posture. So we're going to move straight back up to the upper body. This time we're going to work again with the shoulders, but it's going to be across the front and the inside of the arms. So the way we're going to do that, I like to use a block here. We're going to come to lying on the front of our body. We're going to extend the right arm out. Going to roll the body back. I like to use a block to support the head. And starting with the legs just straight out, arm by the side. Just finding that physical edge. Relaxing the muscle of the target area, so the right shoulder, the inside of the arms. Again, perhaps using the breath to assist with that relaxation. And just gently feeling the muscular stress pass to the connective tissue. Maybe the posture opens up. Maybe this allows us to take the left hand behind, even interlacing the fingers behind with the right hand, or just grabbing that right hand. And then if we wish, we can also bend this left leg and allow that left knee to fall towards the left hand side, all of which is going to push more weight over the left side of the body and increase the stress on the target area. So just finding the option that's comfortable for you today, finding some stillness. And in that stillness, exploring that connective tissue stress all the way up the inside of the right arm, maybe even both arms, across the back of the shoulders, opening up the chest at the front. More across the back is more the contraction of the muscles. The connective tissue stress is more across the front of the shoulders. So as we move our attention from the physical connective tissue stress to the more subtle, we're going to feel that energetic creation rising up through the inside of the arms, coming up to the shoulders and across the front of the chest. Again, pulling in the energy that we created previously when we were working with the neck and the shoulder. Just tuning in and tuning out now. Just releasing the hands. I'm just going to swap to the other side. Excuse me while I turn my back to the camera, but I'll give you a different perspective. So we're going to take the left arm out to the side. And from roll on our front, we're going to gently roll supporting the head if we want to, like I do. Legs just extended for the moment, allowing the right arm to rest on the side of the body. Just while we find that first edge. From there, pausing and relaxing the muscles of the target area, so the left shoulder, the inside of the left arm. Allowing the muscular stress to pass to the connective tissue in that target area. And as it does, perhaps the posture opens up, gives us that opportunity to adjust. We can stay here if we want, but if we want, we might want to reach back and join the hands, interlace the fingers, maybe even bending that right knee and allowing it to fall out to the right hand side. And just finding stillness where works for us today. Exploring that connective tissue now, we can feel that all the way up the inside of the left arm, left shoulder, across the front of the chest. Maybe even the inside of the right arm, depending how your fingers are joined. And working with the physical dimension of the connective tissue stress. Just almost allowing that to melt into the background as we tune into and bring forward the more subtle energy creation sensations that we can feel arising up the inside of the left arm, left shoulder, across the chest to the right shoulder. Drawing on any energy we created from our postures, working with the neck and the back of the shoulders, and building on it with the stress in the connective tissue, creating those electrical signals and subtle energy. Opening up the energy channels, the meridian pathways. Just releasing that left hand, rolling onto the front, coming straight back. So again, moving down the body, upper body, lower body, we're going to be working with the lower back and the back of the hips, so sort of glute, lower back area. And we're going to do that with a posture sometimes called tight shoelace. And there are a couple of different ways of getting into this. So because of my hips, I tend to find it best to start on all fours, bring the right knee over, and then sit back. So then you end up here with the knees stacked on top of each other. Others prefer to just start from a seated position and bring the knees over like that. So whichever suits you. And we're just going to find our edge here, so that first physical edge that may be right up here for us. Sometimes I even like to support myself a little bit here. If we need, we could even put a block underneath the buttocks just to support us a little. If we're finding it too much on the knees, we can support ourselves in that way. Finding that edge, relaxing the muscles in the back of the leg, the hips, around the glutes. As we relax, we can come forward. And again, here we can support ourselves on our elbows. We can use a block to support our head. We can use a bolster. Or we can just continue to allow ourselves, maybe the chest comes to the knee, and just support ourselves here. Just finding stillness. Adjusting in stillness, just working with the connective tissue stress, just feeling that in the back of both glutes, the back of both hips, and in the lower back. You can allow the head to drop forward if you wish. And again, tuning in, moving through the physical connective tissue sensations. Just tuning into the more subtle, energetic creation. Feeling the energy drawing up both legs from the toes, ankles, calves, front of the legs, right up through to the glutes, lower back. Probably more on the right side than the left side here. Inhaling, coming back up. Now we're just going to swap to the other side, so however you prefer to get into the posture, we're just going to want to end up with the knees stacked with the left knee on top. Again, using the block if you're feeling a little bit too much pressure here. If we use a block, we're still going to get the benefits when we come forward. So certainly not worth messing with the knees. Finding that edge. Target area here is more the left side. The previous side was the right side. The left side here, so whichever knee's on top, you're going to get more stress on that side. But you're also going to feel it on the other side. Finding that edge. Consciously relaxing the muscles in the back of the hips, lower back, around the glutes. Relaxing, using the breath. Exhaling as we exhale, stress moves to the connective tissue, just where we want it to work with our energy. And then just finding stillness. Briefly pausing, acknowledging the physical connective tissue sensation. Before we recalibrate and tune into the subtle energetic creation coming forward, if we want to, wherever we're most comfortable. Again, remembering this is not a physical practice. We're trying to create, detect, and move subtle energies. So we don't want to be overwhelmed with physical sensation. And there in silence for maybe a couple of minutes, just focusing on the left and right glute area, lower back, drawing the energy up from the toes of both legs, toes, ankles, calves, and allowing the connective tissue stress to add to that movement of energy. Just inhaling, gently coming back to a seated position, taking those legs out in front. So we're going to work now with the front of the hips. So down the back, front of the hips and the stomach. So moving that energy gently up through, up to the front here. We're going to need a bolster for this one. Maybe. So we're going to come to lying on our front. Now we can either just support ourselves on our elbows here, or we can use the bolster. Just thinking about the target area, wherever you're going to find that you're getting a healthy but not overwhelming amount of stress in the front of the hips, lower stomach, rectus abdominis. So it may be that in this posture you're not going to get much, so you may want to use the bolster. But maybe start on the mat, and then you're going to bring your right leg out to the side, bend at the knee, keeping the left leg straight. So our target here is more the left-hand side of the front hip and the stomach. That's where we're going to feel the stress more. So just finding some stillness. Just be aware of any pinching in the back here. If there is any pinching, then do get rid of the bolster. Finding that stillness, relaxing the muscles across the front of the body. Again, using the breath if that's helpful. As the muscles relax, you might find that the posture opens up a little bit. If it does and you're comfortable, if you want to, you can bring that knee a little bit further up, and or you can take that right foot out a little bit to the side, just finding the combination that gives you a comfortable but certainly a stress that you can feel in that left-hand side of the front of the stomach. That stillness, just exploring the connective tissue, left side stomach, left front hip. And again, moving through the physical, taking the awareness to the target area, and just tuning into the subtle. Just feeling the creation of energy there as it happens. Drawing energy up all the way from the left toe all the way up the leg. Just releasing that right leg. Exactly the same the other side now, so bringing that left leg out to the side, bend at the knee, either on the bolster or just elbows on the mat. Right leg extended. Target area, physical target area is the right front of hip, right stomach, rectus abdominis. And just finding that edge. Relaxing, using the breath. Breathing into that front hip, lower stomach. And as we exhale, maybe even feeling that lower stomach move towards the mat as the posture opens up a little bit. And as posture opens up, maybe just adjusting. You can even use the position of the head if you tried. Taking the head to the left-hand side. You'll find it's a very different experience in the target area on the right hip. Finding stillness now and exploring the connective tissue stress in the right-hand side of the stomach, lower rectus abdominis, front of the hip. And again, maybe just pausing there briefly at the physical before even closing the eyes and just taking the awareness to that area, front of the hip, lower stomach, right hand side. And just feeling a different, more subtle sensation, the creation of the energy. And while that creation's going on, we're drawing up the energy from the right toe all the way up the right leg, adding to it here, building the energy as we move up through the body. And just gently releasing, putting the bolster aside, getting hold of a couple of blocks, either one or two. Maybe start with one. We're going to be opening up the heart. So we've created this energy movement coming up through the body, coming down through the upper body. We want it to meet in the heart center. So in this final posture before our Shavasana, we're going to open up the heart, ready to receive the energy from both ends of the body. So using either one or two blocks, between the shoulder blades, the thoracic spine, so not down underneath the sacrum. And if you want, you can support the head behind. For some people, it's quite uncomfortable in the neck to do this, so a support behind is recommended. But either way, just getting comfortable, either allowing the head to fall back or supporting it. Arms and legs just relax for the moment. Target area right here in the centre, the heart centre. So finding the physical edge, relaxing the front of the torso, the whole of the front of the body. As we relax the torso, we're going to find the front of the body opens up. As it does, you may have the opportunity to adjust. And some of the options we've got here, we can take our arms above the head. We can have our arms out in straight out, or even in stop signs. So maybe just exploring a couple of these options, but always bringing it back to the target area that we're working with. So the heart centre, what's really opening up that centre for us? Maybe even removing what we have behind the head. And just allowing ourselves to open up, to create an open heart centre, allowing the energy to move up from the lower body and from the upper body, the arms, the neck, shoulders. As we lie here in silence in our final posture, just feeling the heart centre open and that energy start to move in gradually in towards the heart centre. Something we'll consolidate in our Shavasana. Just gently coming out of that posture, removing the blocks. Getting ready for our real final posture now, Shavasana. So just coming back, lying on the back, arms and legs relax. Eyes closed if you're comfortable with that. Otherwise, just a soft gaze at a point above you. Allowing the breath to settle into its natural rhythm, chest rising gently as you inhale, falling as you gently exhale. The movement of air over the tip of the nose as you inhale and exhale. The movement of energy from the nostrils, back of the throat, lungs, and again to the heart center. Gently, we bring our awareness to the heart center. The sound of the gong gently opens the heart center further. Gentle rivers of energy flow into the ocean of the heart center. From the tips of the toes, ankles, back of the legs, front of the legs, hips, glutes, stomach, back to the heart center. From the fingers, wrists, arms, shoulders, head and neck to the heart center. The sound of the gong carries you above the ocean of the heart center. Gentle rolling waves of energy beneath you.
is now time to head towards land. Allow the sound of the gong to safely take you to shore and back to the space you are in. A couple of deeper inhale and exhales, wriggling the fingers and toes before gently rolling to one side, sitting up, gently blinking open the eyes. Namaste. We hope you enjoyed the practice. We're always very grateful and appreciative of all the support that we get from our subscribers. So please do continue to subscribe and support us. It does allow us to continue to develop these practices and share these with you.